Hi, Catherine. Thanks for your presentation. It was really good. I guess we're talking about, we had some questions about the business opportunities that you suggested could happen with climate change. And we were wondering, the free market really got us into this mess. Is it realistic for the free market to get us out of it?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I might spend a minute contemplating that phrase, free market. So I think free markets are like a neoliberal value that have come to the fore through this era of decreasing government regulation of private sector activities. And that's really what I associate with the phrase free market. And I would say that no, if that's how we think about the free market, it cannot be a part of the solution, because in order to reduce emissions and to take advantage of some of the opportunities that are presented to us by climate action, we need government regulation. We need governments to be stepping in to do what they're designed to do, which is tell private sector actors what is appropriate and what is not appropriate for them to undertake. And this is something that Canadian governments have been consistently reluctant to do in recent decades. And I think a big part of why there are these glaring gaps in both the national and sometimes provincial climate action plans, those gaps are consistently in the shape of major industry. And it is consistently major industry that pushes back against climate policies and works to water them down and undermine them, while governments respond and often do what is asked in undermining those policies. So I think a big part of the solution needs to be governments coming back into that conversation and getting into communities to talk with folks about what that needs to look like and what people want for themselves and their families. We've also been out of the practice of industrial planning for a long time in Canada. And we're at a place now where we need to, I think, construct a really consolidated, comprehensive vision for what the future of prosperity and job creation looks like in this country. Fortunately, and I think Delia might have some great perspective on this, Canada was the first country in the world to launch something called the Just Transition Task Force recently. So this was in response to the accelerated phase out of coal-fired electricity, which is part of that Pan-Canadian framework plan that I alluded to in my presentation. And that task force went from community to community, speaking with folks involved in the coal electricity generation sector about the transition that accelerated phase out meant for them, what that transition meant for them in their communities, and how to mitigate some of the impacts and ensure that they transitioned into jobs that made sense for them. That report came out very recently from that task force, and I think it's a great model that Canada has innovated that we need to actually now expand to a fuller conversation about just transition across greenhouse gas intensive sectors. So it's not just about the free market. It's not about letting the free hand of the market judge itself. It's about this very active community-based conversation and vision being constructed, and governments responding to that conversation with regulation.